I am a 36-year-old man, and here are two things that I wish that I could have told myself when I was younger. Now, these aren't just any two tips or ways to get rich faster or whatever, but these are probably the two most important things that would have actually had like a positive influence on my life, to actually make my life better and to make me happier. Now, the first one is this. Don't be afraid to be behind in life. Being behind in life is not as bad as you think that it is. So I've had a pretty large chunk in my life where I was behind pretty bad. In my teens, I was doing relatively fine, but in my late teens and in my early 20s, I had this phase in my life where I had no job. I didn't even have an education. I just played World of Warcraft all day. I ate junk food all day. I neglected myself, and because I isolated myself all the time, I became increasingly socially awkward because of it. I saw my friends less. I was too afraid to talk to girls, etc., etc. I was pretty much behind in life on like every possible aspect in life that you could have been behind. Now, at first, I didn't really care that much because I guess I was stuck in this comfort bubble where I just distracted myself with video games, and I also smoked weed, which is like a big thing that traps you in a comfort bubble. But eventually I got to this point where I was tired of the life that I was living and I wanted to make a change. And I sort of started to panic because now my eyes were open to just how far I was behind in life, right? I thought, holy shit. I am so far behind in life. I've literally missed years of my life not talking to girls, not having a job, not having an education, neglecting my body, neglecting my health. And now I have to like literally catch up on all these years that I've been missing out on. I'm not sure if I can even do this, right? It's going to take me ages, literally years for me to catch up. And even then, like, I'm not sure if I'm actually capable of doing this. It was like a super demotivating thing for me to be so far behind in life. But I noticed that whenever I actually did make the decision to change, because I did come to a point where I thought, yeah, well, you know, I'm not going to continue living like this. I'm just going to do everything that I can. And whenever I had made that decision and I actually started to work towards my goals, I noticed that I actually started to feel pretty good, pretty damn fast. Even before I had caught up on life. So even before I had lost the weight and I had a girlfriend, etc., even before then, I started to already feel this hype towards life where I became pretty happy. I actually started to feel happy and hyped on life again. And I realized, and I've talked about this before in other videos, I realized one of the most important lessons I've ever learned in life. And that is that in life, it is never achieving the goals that makes you happy, but it is always working towards your goals that makes you happy. Now maybe you know this. Maybe you've ever went to the gym and you've done a new bench press PR, and then you've looked in the mirror and you look the exact same as you did before the bench press PR. But despite the fact that you were not at your goal body yet, the act of doing a new PR and seeing yourself progressing towards your goals consistently, that is the thing that makes you happy, right? So I came to a point in my life where I learned this lesson and I realized that I was actually pretty damn happy before I had even caught up on life. And to make things even better, I actually started to catch up on life pretty damn fast as well. So for example, I got a job, right? I got a sales job. Now I hadn't had a job in years, from since high school until I was 23, 24 or something. I did not have a job or an education at all, right? I was a loser that did nothing but play World of Warcraft all day and neglect myself. I got a sales job and I just made the decision for myself that I was going to put in a little bit more effort than the other salespeople. I was going to make more sales calls. I was going to think more about the psychology of what we say in the sales script. I approached the best salesman in the office and I asked him for advice, which he was more than happy to give me because he was honored that I considered him the best salesman, right? And within no time, I became the best salesman of the office. which is something that was completely unimaginable to me before, right? I had never had a job. I considered myself to be a loser. I was afraid to even get a job. I thought that I had so much catching up to do, but the moment I actually got a job and I just made the decision to put in a little bit more effort than the average person does, I became better than the average person was. Same thing happened when it comes to talking to girls. Talking to girls was so far out of my comfort zone. I was so incredibly awkward. I did not know what to say. I didn't even have the courage to say anything to a girl. But me and a friend, we decided to become pickup artists. And I know a lot of people are going to think that this is super cringy. And yes, there are a lot of super cringy pickup artists that you can see on the internet. And I'm pretty sure that I have said and done a whole bunch of very cringy things as well in the early days of my pickup artist career. And some of my friends laughed at me for doing this. But becoming a pickup artist did sort of help me to break my shell and to overcome my fear of rejection. And it helped me to learn to talk to girls and develop some social skills and eventually actually land a girlfriend, now a wife. I'm married, I have a wife and I have children. I relatively quickly became better at talking to girls than most other guys my age were. And again, this is something that was so completely unimaginable to me before, because I thought I've literally been missing out on my youth. My late teens and early 20s, I had not talked to girls. I just spent my life in isolation, socially awkward, not talking to girls at all. But by just making the decision to put myself out there and actually practice talking to girls, I became better at talking to girls than the average guy within relatively no time. And so if you ever feel behind on life, on whatever aspect that is, maybe that is girls, maybe that is financial, whatever it is, I just want you to know, don't lose hope. You can catch up on life relatively quickly. And it's not just that you can catch up relatively quickly, but it's also the fact that life doesn't start at the point once you have caught up, but a good life starts at the point where you decide to make a change and actually see yourself working towards your goals. No matter how far you are behind in life, no matter how old you are, if you make the decision to actually make a change and catch up, then you can feel pretty damn good. You can actually feel true happiness within a relatively short time from now. There's this Iron Maiden song called Wasted Years where they sing about this. They sing something like, don't waste your time always searching for those wasted years, and then something else, and then realize that you're living in the golden years. You could be living in the golden years if you choose to live in the golden years right now. So whenever you get demotivated that you're behind in life, just put on that song and realize what I just told you. The second thing that I wanted to say is don't be obsessed about the idea that you have to achieve certain things before a certain point in life. So I've always been someone that always lived in this idea that I had to become rich before a certain age, or else then I would have failed in life, right? I've always had this idea that I wanted to become like rich and achieve certain things in life. And I didn't even have like a solid plan yet, but I just had this idea in my mind. Yeah, at some point in the future, I'm going to like start a business and I'm going to become rich. And I'm going to become rich in my 20s before I hit 30. And if I don't make that goal, then I've sort of kind of failed at life. Because, you know, that is me. That's really important to me. And it sounds really cliche and lame, I know. But I've come to a point in my life, now that I'm a little bit older, where I realize that there are other things in life that are a lot more important than trying to become rich are. And because I've been so caught up in this idea that I had to achieve certain things before a certain age, I realized that I've actually missed out on a lot of things in life that would have probably made me a lot happier. I failed to appreciate the things that were truly important in life, and because of that I've sort of missed out on the life that I could have been living. And right now I can see the exact same thing happening to countless of young men all around the world. Because we live in this age of social media and influencers, right? And we have people like Andrew Tate. I'm not trying to say that everything that Andrew Tate says is bullshit, but we live in an age where people like Andrew Tate and other influencers give people the idea that you somehow have to be rich in your 20s, and that if you don't get rich, that you failed and that you are a loser. They give people the idea that you have to like give up on your youth and that you just have to stop all entertainment and that you have to be productive all of the time, because if you don't do this, then you're a loser. And if you do it, well, then you're a cool entrepreneur that will become a millionaire in your 20s, right? I see teenagers, literal teenagers, like 15-year-old guys who are giving up on their youth. And they say things like, oh, I'm sorry, friend, I can't come to your birthday party and have fun with my friends. Because didn't you know that partying is for degenerates? And that's not me. No, I am not a degenerate. I don't do partying or entertainment. I just work hard. But these same guys who say that, they don't even have a business. They don't even have plans that they work on instead of going to the party. They don't even know what to do with their lives. They don't even know what to do instead. They're just telling their friends that they can't go to the party, that they can't have fun with their friends, or they think that they're not allowed to ever play video games ever again. Because some influencer on the internet has told them that you have to quit doing these things and that somehow makes you cool and that somehow is going to make you a millionaire before you hit the age of 30. They are literally missing out on living their youth because some influencer has tricked them into believing that this is the way to live your life and that this is what makes you cool. And the truth is that for 99.99, like a lot of 9% of people, this is completely unrealistic advice, and these people will never become rich. You know, what you have to understand is that most self-made millionaires only ever become a millionaire in like their 40s or 50s or even 60s, right? After like doing business for 30 years, and after 30 years of experience and failure, they finally like get the opportunities and the network and the knowledge to actually become a millionaire, right? And that's just the millionaires we're talking about, right? Most guys will never even become a millionaire. The amount of guys who just start a business in their 20s and then end up becoming a millionaire like a few years later, I don't know the exact statistics, but we're talking about like 0.00, a whole lot of 0.1% here. It's completely unrealistic advice to sort of give the average guy the idea that that is the way that he has to live his life. I am not trying to shatter anyone's dreams here, okay? If you actually have plans and you actually have your own business and your own business actually requires a lot of your time and requires you to make sacrifices in your life, by all means go for it. I'm not trying to talk you out of it. The world needs people that work hard. The world needs the Elon Musks in this world, right? But I am saying that please be realistic about your goals and make sure that your goals don't prevent you from actually living your life and doing the things that truly matter in life. Don't be one of these guys who sacrifices his youth without even really knowing what you're sacrificing your youth for, without even really having like a solid thing to work on. Maybe there will come a point in your life where you work 80 hours a week and you make a lot of sacrifices because you go full hardcore into your business, right? Maybe that point will come. But the thing is this, that if that point will ever come in your life, you will know when that point will come in your life. That point will probably come when you already have a business and you're already working hard on your business, and then eventually you say, hey, wait a second, my business is really taking off and it requires a lot of my time. Maybe I should make a lot of sacrifices in my life and stop doing all of these things, and maybe I should work 80 hours a week on my business and go full hardcore for a couple of years to see where this thing goes, okay? Maybe you are someone who will ever reach that point. But what I'm saying is this, when you reach that point, and most people will never actually reach that point, but when you reach that point, you will know when you have reached that point. And before you have reached that point, if you don't have a solid reason to give up on your youth, Don't give up on your youth. Don't sacrifice your life because some influencer somewhere on the internet told you that if you party with your friends or if you play a video game once, that you become a loser. And that if you don't do these things, that makes you cool and that somehow magically turns you into a millionaire before the age of 30. Because life doesn't work that way. If you fall for this trap, this way of thinking, you'll end up a 36-year-old man like me who realizes that you've been missing out on a lot of things in your life that could have probably made you a lot happier. You could have spent more time with your friends and your family. You could have worked a job that you truly loved, that didn't make you as much money, but it's something that you truly loved to do. You could have spent more time just putting a piece of meat on the barbecue and smoking it and then eating it with your friends and your family, or even just enjoying it by yourself. And you could have spent more time playing a game with your friends on Saturday evening. So if you ever feel behind in life, or you feel like you have certain things to achieve before you've reached a certain point in your life, I hope this video gave you something to think about and gave you a little bit more perspective on what is truly important in life. I'll see you guys in the next video.